The Ten Commandments, found in Exodus chapter 20, are often seen as a set of rules, a list of do-nots. But what if we look deeper? What if we discover that these ancient principles are not merely restrictions, but pathways to a life filled with peace, growth, and blessings? When approached with an open heart, the Ten Commandments provide not just guidelines, but a profound spiritual and ethical foundation that transcends religious boundaries. These timeless principles, received by Moses on Mount Sinai, offer moral and spiritual wisdom that has guided countless generations. They are designed to foster personal fulfillment and harmony, leading to a life that aligns with divine guidance. Each commandment is not a barrier, but an invitation, a way to grow closer to God and walk in step with divine purpose. As we embark on this journey to explore how each commandment applies to our daily lives, we hope you feel inspired to discover their transformative power. If you're eager to dive deeper into spiritual wisdom and explore how timeless teachings can enrich modern life, consider subscribing to our channel. Remarkable Bible Stories. Together, we'll unlock insights that not only nurture our souls, but bring us closer to the life of harmony and meaning we're all seeking. The Ten Commandments, often regarded as the cornerstone of moral and ethical guidance, trace their origins to a moment of profound spiritual and historical significance in the Judeo-Christian tradition. These divine instructions were given to Moses on Mount Sinai after the Israelites' exodus from Egypt, where they had endured years of slavery. In this pivotal moment, God established a covenant with the people, offering them a framework for living a life aligned with divine principles, aiming to shape a society grounded in righteousness, compassion, and a deep respect for life and truth. The Ten Commandments serve a purpose far beyond simple rules. They embody a pathway to spiritual growth and self-actualization. Unlike mere laws that impose restrictions on human behavior, the commandments are designed to elevate the human spirit, guiding individuals toward virtues that are fundamental to a well-lived life. While at first glance they may appear to place limits on personal freedom, a closer examination reveals that they are, in fact, deeply liberating. They free individuals from the bondage of selfishness, impulsiveness, and destructive tendencies, promoting a life that thrives on compassion, humility, and integrity. Each commandment addresses a specific aspect of human behavior, aiming to mold both the inner disposition and outward actions. The commandments are not merely a list of do's and don'ts, but rather a blueprint for living in harmony with God's will. They call for honesty in interactions, reverence in worship, respect for family, and responsibility toward others. By adhering to these principles, individuals cultivate a life centered on love and respect, not only for God, but also for their fellow human beings. The commandments' emphasis on integrity and compassion encourages a life that honors the intrinsic worth of others. They remind believers that every action has spiritual consequences, and that living in alignment with divine commandments leads to a sense of inner peace, fulfillment, and connection with the divine. This connection is not about blind obedience, but about understanding the wisdom embedded within these instructions. Each commandment is an invitation to explore the deeper meaning of life and to grow in love, patience, and humility. Over the centuries, the commandments have served as a moral compass for individuals and communities alike. They have inspired legal systems, influenced societal values, and shaped cultural norms. Yet their significance goes beyond societal structure. They provide an intimate personal guide for navigating life's complexities. In following these divine guidelines, individuals embark on a journey towards self-discovery and alignment with their highest spiritual potential. Each commandment, viewed as a step toward personal growth, helps individuals shed layers of selfishness, cultivate empathy, and develop a stronger relationship with God. In recognizing the commandments as pillars of a life that reflects divine principles, believers can begin to appreciate the depth of their spiritual purpose. These laws encourage them to examine their hearts and intentions, leading them to a path of authenticity and spiritual wisdom. Far from restrictive, the Ten Commandments offer a way to freedom. Freedom from the chaos of unchecked desires, from the pain of broken relationships, and from the emptiness that often accompanies a life lived without purpose. By embracing these commandments, individuals find themselves drawn closer to the divine essence, discovering a life of meaning, peace, and profound inner transformation. The first commandment: "You shall have no other gods before me." The first commandment urges us to center our lives around a relationship with God, placing Him above all else. It's not just a rule, it's a guiding principle that invites us to evaluate what we truly value and where we place our devotion. Often, we may not even realize that other pursuits, such as wealth, success, or personal achievements, can slowly become idols in our lives, subtly displacing our spiritual focus. This commandment challenges us to resist the tendency to let material pursuits overshadow our spiritual journey. When we prioritize God, we align our lives with a source that offers clarity and direction far beyond what temporary gains can provide. Wealth, status, or recognition can offer satisfaction, but they often come with strings attached: anxiety about maintaining them, fear of losing them, or even disappointment when they fail to bring the joy we expected. These are hollow pursuits compared to the steady, enduring peace that comes from nurturing a relationship with God. Focusing on God frees us from these temporary concerns, allowing us to seek a more profound sense of purpose and fulfillment. When we truly honor this commandment, we experience clarity of thought, as we're no longer torn between the conflicting demands of a materialistic lifestyle and our spiritual values. Our purpose becomes clearer because we recognize that our worth isn't tied to our possessions, social standing, or accomplishments. Instead, it's grounded in our inherent connection to the divine. This commandment invites a journey inward, asking us to reflect on the sources of our motivations. Are we driven by the need for external validation, or by a deeper desire to honor something sacred within? By choosing the latter, we not only find peace, but also an enduring sense of self that isn't swayed by life's ups and downs. When our lives are built upon this divine foundation, we can move through the world with a groundedness that isn't easily shaken. Ultimately, this commandment isn't about denying the world's beauty or the achievements we can strive for, but rather about holding them in the right perspective. It teaches us that when we center ourselves around God, the other elements in our lives fall naturally into place, offering a completeness that we can never achieve by chasing worldly rewards alone. The second commandment: "You shall not make for yourself an idol." The second commandment serves as a call to release attachments that hold us back, going beyond mere physical idols. It encourages an examination of the subtle ties that bind us to worldly values and pursuits. often unknowingly becoming barriers to our spiritual evolution. In modern times, the concept of an idol is not limited to carved statues or images. Anything that captures our heart and mind with an intensity that rivals our devotion to God can become an idol, be it wealth, success, recognition, or even the approval of others. The commandment challenges us to look inward and ask, what have we elevated to a place of such significance that it obscures our connection to the divine? Excessive attachment to material things or social validation can trap us in a cycle of seeking fulfillment from sources that ultimately offer no true peace. While it's natural to value possessions or enjoy recognition, these things are fleeting and often lead us to seek more, never fully satisfying our inner need for purpose. This commandment reminds us that fulfillment lies not in what we accumulate or achieve, but in the state of our spirit and its connection to God. When we recognize and release these attachments, we create space for divine blessings to flow more freely into our lives. By shifting our focus away from worldly possessions and the need for approval, we invite a sense of freedom. It's an invitation to experience life without the constant worry of losing status or wealth, thus finding peace in simply being. This process opens the door to spiritual transformation, where we become less concerned with what we have and more with who we are in relation to God's plan. Letting go of attachments also teaches us about trust. It challenges us to trust that we will be provided for, that our worth is not defined by external markers, but by our essence and spiritual growth. In this act of surrender, we step closer to God, knowing that whatever is truly needed will come to us, often in ways that are unexpected yet profoundly fulfilling. Embracing this mindset liberates us from fear, transforming our lives from a pursuit of control into a journey of faith and acceptance. This commandment, therefore, is more than just a prohibition. It is an invitation to live with open hands, free from the weight of worldly expectations and the pressure to amass or achieve. It invites us to shift our priorities, recognizing that a heart focused on God is the greatest treasure we can attain. The third commandment: you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. The third commandment urges us to treat the name of the Lord with profound reverence, cautioning us not to misuse it or speak it thoughtlessly. This teaching is more than a rule about language. It's a call to uphold a deep spiritual respect for the divine. When we consider the power of words, we realize how profoundly they shape our thoughts, influence our actions, and impact others. Our words are not merely sounds or symbols. They carry intention, emotion, and meaning, echoing beyond the moment they are spoken. This commandment challenges us to use that power wisely, particularly when speaking of God, whose name is sacred. God's name represents His presence, power, and purity. To take His name lightly or to use it in anger, frustration, or as a casual expression dilutes its significance and diminishes our respect for Him. Every time we mention God's name, it's an opportunity to recall His greatness, to revere His holiness, and to reconnect with the sacred. Misusing His name or treating it carelessly strips away that reverence, distancing us from His divine nature. This commandment calls us to recognize that His name is not ordinary. It's holy, and treating it as such brings us into a deeper connection with His essence. Furthermore, this commandment speaks to the power of words and the responsibility that comes with them. Our words reflect the state of our hearts. Jesus teaches that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, underscoring the idea that what we say reveals what is within us. By honoring God's name, we also honor the truth within ourselves. When we speak of God and spiritual matters, our words should reflect integrity, respect, and sincerity. In honoring God's name, we become mindful of how we speak about everything, cultivating a habit of using words that uplift, inspire, and align with spiritual truths. Our language and the way we communicate often reflect the culture around us. In today's world, casual expressions and even slang often include phrases that use God's name inappropriately. This commandment is a reminder to be countercultural, to stand apart by showing reverence where others may not. Holding God's name in high regard, even when it seems unpopular, reflects a life of spiritual dedication. It reminds others of the sacredness of our faith and encourages them to think more carefully about their own language and expressions. Taking God's name in vain isn't limited to speech. It also includes making empty promises or oaths. When we make a vow or an oath in the name of God or before God, we are calling upon His divine witness, which is a serious commitment. To make a promise with His name involved is to make a sacred pledge, one that we must intend to fulfill with all integrity. If we fail to uphold that promise, we have taken His name in vain, reducing something sacred to a mere formality. This is a reminder that our commitments, especially those we make invoking His name, are to be honored fully and with sincerity. This commandment encourages us to use our words to align ourselves with God's will and purpose. Words carry energy, and when spoken with intention, they can manifest blessings or, if misused, harm. Recognizing the weight of our words reminds us that every word can build or break. By honoring the name of God and using language that uplifts, we participate in a higher form of communication that reflects His love, wisdom, and power. In essence, this commandment serves as a foundation for a life of integrity, honesty, and respect for the divine. It invites us to cultivate a conscious, reverent approach to our speech and actions, guiding us to lead lives that honor God in word and deed. Through our respect for His name, we foster a greater connection with Him and set an example of devotion and respect for those around us. By holding God's name sacred, we honor the truth of His presence in our lives and reflect that holiness in how we interact with the world. The fourth commandment: remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The fourth commandment is a profound reminder of the importance of balance, encouraging us to set aside the relentless pursuit of productivity and worldly achievement. By resting and reflecting, we allow ourselves the space to connect deeply with our spiritual essence, recognizing that we are not merely defined by what we produce or accomplish, but by who we are in communion with the divine. The Sabbath invites us to step out of the cycle of constant doing and embrace a state of simply being, finding value not in our outputs, but in our inner connection with God. Setting aside one day a week as sacred time is not just an old tradition, but a gift that allows us to pause and remember the higher purposes we are meant to serve. This day of rest acts as a sanctuary in time, a moment when worldly concerns and to-do lists fade into the background. Through this, we're reminded of our true identity as beings created in God's image, meant to reflect His peace and love in the world. The Sabbath is not just about physical rest, but a rejuvenation of the soul. It offers a unique opportunity for us to lay aside our burdens, refresh our spirits, and renew our sense of purpose. Taking a Sabbath is a powerful act of trust in God. It acknowledges that while our actions are essential, they are not the source of all we have and hope to achieve. In resting, we release the illusion of control and self-sufficiency, placing our faith in God's provision and sovereignty. This sacred pause is a declaration that we believe God will provide and care for us, even when we step back. As we honor the Sabbath, we are reminded that our worth is not based on our accomplishments or how hard we work, but on our relationship with God. This is a divine assurance that we are cherished, not for what we do, but for who we are in God's sight. In observing the Sabbath, we also find a moment to reflect on our week, to consider what went well, where we faced challenges, and how God's presence was with us throughout. This reflection strengthens our bond with God, allowing us to see His hand at work in every area of our lives. It's a time for gratitude, where we acknowledge the blessings we have received and find joy in the simplest moments. By stepping away from our routines, we gain a clearer perspective on life's deeper meaning and realign ourselves with the values that truly matter. The Sabbath is not just for the individual, but also fosters deeper connections within families and communities. It provides a chance for people to come together, share in worship, and grow in love and understanding. This day of rest can help families bond over shared meals, discussions, and activities that emphasize faith and togetherness. In doing so, the Sabbath strengthens not only our spiritual connection with God, but also our relationships with those around us, creating a foundation of unity, love, and support. In a world that often glorifies busyness, the Sabbath is a countercultural practice that says there is more to life than constant work and productivity. It teaches us to find contentment and fulfillment in God's presence rather than in worldly achievements. The Sabbath reminds us that while work is a part of life, it should not consume us or become the entirety of our existence. By taking time to rest and recharge, we prepare ourselves to return to our tasks with renewed energy and a clearer sense of purpose. This rhythm of work and rest helps us maintain balance and prevents burnout, allowing us to serve God and others with joy and dedication. The Sabbath is an invitation to experience life in its fullest form, a life that is in harmony with God's rhythm of creation. When we take time to rest, reflect, and reconnect with God, we are reminded that He is the source of our strength, peace, and purpose. The Sabbath is not a restriction, but a gift, a divine appointment that calls us back to the essence of our faith and the joy of communion with the Creator. It is in this sacred time that we discover the beauty of resting in God's presence, finding fulfillment beyond the demands of daily life and the pursuit of worldly success. The fifth commandment: honor your father and your mother. The fifth commandment reaches beyond a simple call for obedience to parents. It stands as a reminder to value and respect our origins, instilling in us a profound sense of gratitude for the family bonds that shape us. At its core, this commandment addresses the foundation of human relationships, those formed at home, which leave indelible marks on our character, values, and sense of belonging. Honoring our parents invites us to recognize the life they've given us, to appreciate the sacrifices they may have made, and to respect the guidance and wisdom they offered along the way. It teaches us to look beyond imperfections and recognize that our parents, like all human beings, are shaped by their own experiences, struggles, and limitations. By embracing this commandment, we open ourselves to understanding that honoring them doesn't necessarily mean agreeing with everything they say or do. Instead, It is about acknowledging their role in our lives and finding peace in that relationship, whatever form it may take. Moreover, honoring our parents creates a ripple effect within the family structure. When we show gratitude and respect toward those who came before us, we establish a legacy that future generations can inherit and pass down. This cycle of respect and love strengthens family bonds and helps create a more stable, nurturing environment. Even when familial relationships are challenging, the principle of honoring parents encourages us to find ways to reconcile and forgive, freeing ourselves from the weight of unresolved grievances. In this way, the fifth commandment acts as a gateway to emotional peace, as it requires us to confront, heal, and make peace with our roots. This commandment also emphasizes forgiveness as a necessary ingredient for personal growth. Parents, being human, may have made mistakes or acted out of their own limitations. By choosing to forgive, we free ourselves from the resentment that might otherwise hold us back. This act of letting go helps us move forward, no longer tethered to past grievances. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting, but rather it's an acknowledgement that we will not allow the past to define our future. It opens the door to empathy, allowing us to see our parents as individuals who, like us, are navigating their own journeys. In honoring parents, we foster gratitude, not only for what we received, but also for the lessons learned in both positive and challenging circumstances. Gratitude reminds us that each family experience, whether harmonious or strained, offers an opportunity for growth. This attitude helps us to cultivate resilience, compassion, and wisdom as we learn to view every interaction as part of a greater story that shapes our character and beliefs. Through gratitude, we transform familial relationships into pillars of personal development. The fifth commandment thus becomes a pathway to holistic growth. By respecting our origins, forgiving where necessary, and practicing gratitude, we engage in a transformative journey. This journey allows us to heal and develop empathy, fostering inner peace and emotional resilience. When we honor our roots, we not only become more balanced individuals, but also set a strong example for future generations, showing them the importance of family bonds and the value of respect and gratitude in every facet of life. The sixth commandment, you shall not murder. The sixth commandment is not merely a prohibition against physical harm, but a profound call to honor life in every form. This commandment embodies the sanctity of life, emphasizing that every human being has an inherent worth that must be respected and protected. It calls upon each individual to foster peace, understanding, and compassion as foundational elements of a healthy, harmonious society. Respecting life begins with a commitment to seeing each person as worthy of kindness and understanding. It means valuing human life so deeply that any form of harm, be it physical, emotional, or psychological, is avoided at all costs. The commandment urges us to recognize that even small, everyday actions can uphold or undermine the sanctity of life. Simple acts of consideration, like listening to others with empathy or refraining from negative judgments, can significantly impact both our mental peace and that of those around us. When we consider the notion of murder on a deeper level, it expands beyond physical violence. Harm can be inflicted in various subtle ways: hurtful words, insensitive actions, and even dismissive attitudes. Every thought and word we direct at others can either uplift or damage them. In a world that often seems inclined toward conflict, practicing restraint, patience, and understanding can make a powerful difference. Avoiding harm in thought means consciously cultivating positive and compassionate intentions, even when we feel provoked or upset. Peaceful coexistence is achieved when people commit to resolving conflicts without resorting to aggression or hostility. This commandment calls on us to approach disagreements with the aim of finding understanding, rather than proving ourselves right or dominating the other. Embracing patience and empathy allows us to build bridges instead of barriers, fostering an environment where people feel valued and respected. Such peaceful intentions, rooted in the reverence for life, promote a broader culture of compassion and mutual respect. By holding life as sacred, we contribute to an atmosphere that is conducive to mental clarity, emotional stability, and spiritual peace. Living by this commandment brings a deep sense of purpose, as we recognize that our actions have the potential to bring healing or harm. The sixth commandment serves as a daily reminder that through our choices, we contribute to the well-being of our community. Respect for life, as called upon in this commandment, is an act of reverence toward the Creator, who imparts life to each being and instills within us a sense of shared humanity. Through this commandment, we are reminded that respect for life is the foundation of a just and compassionate society. Every effort we make to cultivate peace, avoid harm, and promote understanding in our relationships builds a world where individuals can live without fear or resentment. Practicing compassion in our interactions creates a ripple effect that reaches beyond ourselves, encouraging others to do the same. By honoring this sacred principle, we take an active role in creating a community grounded in respect, kindness, and mutual trust. The seventh commandment: you shall not commit adultery. The seventh commandment extends beyond the act itself and invites us to explore the profound significance of integrity, loyalty, and trust in all areas of life. The essence of this commandment is not just a guideline for marital fidelity, but a call to honor the commitments and values that bind us to one another. It speaks to the very core of trustworthiness, challenging us to uphold loyalty and faithfulness in every relationship, be it romantic, familial, or even within our communities. In a world that often values personal fulfillment over commitment, this commandment serves as a counterbalance, reminding us of the importance of putting relationships above fleeting desires. At its heart, this commandment teaches us that fidelity is not just about abstaining from certain actions, but involves maintaining a consistent, unwavering character. When we are true to our commitments, we create an environment where trust can flourish. Trust is fragile yet invaluable, built gradually over time but shattered in an instant if we stray from the path of integrity. Adultery, therefore, is not just a betrayal of one person, but a betrayal of a shared trust, a foundation that may take years to build, but is crucial for any relationship to thrive. When we commit to others, we are saying that they are deserving of our respect and loyalty, and that our bond holds a special place in our lives. To betray that commitment is to undermine the sanctity of that relationship, and ultimately, the divine principles that guide us. In every close connection we form, there are unspoken promises, an understanding that we will respect, honor, and protect one another. These promises form the pillars of our relationships, and to disregard them is to weaken the very structure of our connections. Committing adultery or breaching this trust can lead to a cascade of emotional and spiritual consequences, not just for those directly involved, but for the community around them. When fidelity is honored, it resonates with strength, and reinforces a sense of unity. Others around us, especially the younger generation, look to us as examples of integrity, learning from our actions what it means to be a reliable and trustworthy person. Upholding this commandment, therefore, is not only a personal responsibility, but a communal one. Beyond the realm of romantic relationships, this commandment encourages us to stay true to ourselves and our values. It reminds us that in all our interactions, we must act in ways that are honorable and ethical. Loyalty in friendships, commitment to promises, and faithfulness to personal values all reflect the spirit of this commandment. It compels us to examine our motives and actions to ensure they align with principles of love and respect. Our fidelity to these virtues shapes our spiritual identity, deepening our relationship with ourselves, others, and the divine. This commandment also points to the sanctity of marriage and the special bond that it represents. Marriage is often seen as a covenant, a sacred agreement made not just with a partner, but with God. In this context, committing adultery is not only a personal failing, but a spiritual transgression. Staying faithful within marriage mirrors the divine loyalty God shows to His people, emphasizing that we are called to a standard of love that goes beyond temporary emotions. The steadfastness required in marriage becomes a practice of patience, resilience, and grace, all of which are virtues that enhance our spiritual growth. Additionally, fidelity and loyalty remind us of the spiritual connections we create through relationships. Our spiritual lives are enriched when we approach relationships with honesty, allowing us to experience profound unity with others. By staying true to our commitments, we invite a deeper spiritual connection where both individuals are uplifted and supported in their growth. This unity creates an environment where both partners feel safe and encouraged to pursue their highest selves, grounded in the knowledge that their relationship is a secure foundation. The seventh commandment, then, is not just about prohibiting an act, but fostering a life built on the principles of loyalty, trust, and integrity. In remaining true to our commitments, we affirm our dedication to a higher moral code, one that values the well-being and honor of others as much as our own desires. By cultivating these qualities, we contribute to a more trustworthy, compassionate world, echoing the divine love that transcends betrayal and calls us back to a path of righteousness. Through this commandment, we are reminded that loyalty is a sacred act, one that strengthens us spiritually and forms the bedrock of meaningful, fulfilling relationships. The eighth commandment: you shall not steal. The eighth commandment is more than a rule against taking what isn't ours. It embodies a call to live with a spirit of respect, honesty, and generosity. At its core, this commandment invites us to honor not only the material belongings of others, but also to respect the broader concept of personal and communal integrity. By embracing this value, we create a community where trust and abundance flow freely, as everyone upholds the dignity and well-being of others. In many ways, stealing extends beyond taking physical possessions. It can encompass acts such as withholding fairness, exploiting someone's vulnerability, or failing to give credit where it's due. This commandment addresses the importance of acting with integrity and fairness in all aspects of life, not just in relation to material goods. In essence, it guides us toward valuing what others have earned, the work they've put in, and the resources they possess. When we respect these boundaries, we contribute to a world built on justice and mutual respect, fostering an atmosphere where people feel secure and valued. Generosity is a profound expression of respect and gratitude, shifting the focus from taking to giving. When we choose to give freely of our resources, time, or kindness, we release any attachment to scarcity or lack. This act of giving not only supports others, but also enriches our own lives by nurturing a mindset of abundance. In giving, we recognize that there is more than enough for everyone, a belief that stems from faith in divine provision. Through generosity, we affirm that our needs are met, allowing us to share without fear of loss. It transforms our hearts and fosters deeper connections as we open ourselves to the flow of blessings that come from living with open hands. Living by this commandment calls us to develop trust in our higher power's provision, understanding that everything we need will be provided. This trust liberates us from the fear that can lead to greed or theft, as we no longer feel compelled to take from others to satisfy our needs. Instead, we become active participants in a cycle of giving and receiving, rooted in the belief that God's resources are boundless. This mindset frees us to appreciate what we have and view our blessings as gifts rather than possessions, reinforcing a sense of gratitude that enriches our daily lives. This commandment also cultivates humility, as it reminds us that our material possessions are temporary and not the ultimate measure of our worth. Recognizing this allows us to detach from an overemphasis on having and instead focus on being, living in alignment with our values and embodying respect for ourselves and others. As we shift away from materialism, our sense of self-worth becomes rooted in character, kindness, and the positive impact we have on those around us. This humility draws us closer to others, as we see them as fellow souls on a shared journey, not as competitors for limited resources. The spirit of gratitude, deeply connected to this commandment, transforms our lives by shifting our focus from what we lack to what we already possess. It encourages us to see every possession, opportunity, and relationship as a blessing, cultivating an appreciation that shields us from the desire to take from others. In living gratefully, we build a life centered on contentment and joy rather than envy or dissatisfaction. Gratitude also inspires us to give back, as we recognize that we are stewards of our resources, entrusted to use them in ways that benefit others and honor the divine. In living by the eighth commandment, we don't merely avoid stealing. We embrace a life filled with integrity, respect, and faith. Our actions reflect a commitment to fairness and honesty, qualities that inspire trust and build a foundation for strong, enduring relationships. By honoring this commandment, we create a community where generosity is natural, abundance is shared, and every person feels respected and valued. It transforms us into individuals who bring light and blessings into the lives of others, nurturing a world grounded in love and divine provision. The ninth commandment: you shall not bear false witness. The ninth commandment stands as a timeless reminder of the essential value of truthfulness and integrity in human relationships. At its core, this commandment addresses the power of words and the responsibilities they carry in shaping reality. Bearing false witness not only pertains to outright lies, but also encompasses any attempt to mislead, manipulate, or distort the truth. When we commit to honesty, we cultivate an atmosphere of trust, a crucial element for fostering meaningful connections and a healthy community. Truthfulness isn't just a moral guideline, but a foundational element for authentic living. Without it, relationships can easily crumble, communities become fractured, and individuals can feel isolated or betrayed. By upholding the ninth commandment, we embrace transparency, which builds the integrity essential for lasting bonds. It's through honesty that we allow others to see our true selves, and in doing so, give them permission to be authentic as well. This mutual honesty brings a depth to relationships that superficial interaction cannot reach, fostering a sense of the connection that withstands challenges and misunderstandings. The importance of truthfulness can be seen in the ripple effect it creates. When one person chooses to speak and act truthfully, it encourages others to do the same, gradually establishing a culture of trustworthiness and reliability. Communities built on these values can address issues with clarity and respect, as truth acts as a stabilizing force in resolving conflicts and misunderstandings. The presence of honesty within a community inspires a shared sense of accountability, where each member is responsible not just to themselves, but to the collective well-being. Truthfulness also brings personal peace and freedom. Living a life grounded in truth means we don't have to carry the burden of deceit or the fear of being exposed. Lies require constant maintenance, and the effort to uphold them often leads to stress and inner turmoil. By choosing integrity, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional weight of dishonesty. This peace that comes from living in alignment with the truth allows for a clearer mind and a heart at ease, qualities that enable us to make wise decisions and nurture healthy relationships. Moreover, embracing the ninth commandment encourages us to approach situations with empathy and respect for others. When we speak truthfully, we honor the dignity of those we engage with, treating them as deserving of honesty rather than manipulation. This mindset also helps us avoid harmful gossip, slander, and the spreading of misinformation, which can deeply damage others' lives and reputations. Instead, we are called to build others up, to use our words as tools for healing and encouragement, rather than as weapons of deceit. In essence, "You shall not bear false witness" is a call to align ourselves with a higher standard of morality that values integrity above personal gain. In a world where dishonesty is often used as a shortcut to success, adhering to this commandment requires courage and strength of character. Yet, the rewards are profound. A life marked by trust, respect, and the unwavering sense of peace that only comes from living truthfully. By embodying the principles of this commandment, we not only honor others, but also reflect the goodness and purity that are central to a life lived in harmony with divine principles. The 10th commandment, "You shall not covet." The 10th commandment is a profound call to nurture a spirit of contentment and gratitude. It addresses an issue that touches the core of human nature, the impulse to compare ourselves with others and desire what they have. This commandment isn't just about resisting the urge to possess someone else's belongings. It goes much deeper, aiming to free our hearts from the bondage of envy. By shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have, we unlock an inner peace that opens doors to growth, fulfillment, and the embrace of divine blessings. At its heart, the prohibition against coveting invites us to recognize that everything we need for a meaningful life is within our reach. This is not about external possessions, but rather about an internal alignment with the abundance already in our lives. When we covet, we give power to scarcity, allowing it to govern our thoughts, emotions, and actions. This mindset of lack can cloud our vision and prevent us from seeing the many blessings we already possess. Envy can distort our relationships, driving a wedge between us and those around us, turning potential companions into competitors. Gratitude, as the antidote to envy, transforms the heart and mind. When we practice thankfulness, we recognize the gifts in our lives that we may have previously overlooked. Gratitude allows us to experience life from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. It shifts our focus, allowing us to truly value and appreciate the small and big blessings that come our way. This mindset creates a sense of completeness, shielding us from the pull of envy and fostering an environment where peace and contentment can flourish. The process of cultivating contentment involves an intentional choice to view life through the lens of acceptance. This doesn't mean we don't aspire to improve our circumstances. Rather, it signifies a trust in the timing and provision of God. By accepting our lives as they are, with all their unique gifts and challenges, we open ourselves to spiritual growth. Contentment creates fertile ground for humility, patience, and wisdom to flourish. When we're no longer preoccupied with what others have, we gain the freedom to pursue our personal purpose with a clear mind and a joyful spirit. Moreover, contentment has a ripple effect, radiating positivity to those around us. When we choose not to covet, we indirectly foster healthier relationships with others. We can genuinely celebrate others' successes without feeling threatened or inadequate. This creates a community rooted in mutual respect, support, and shared joy. In this way, the 10th commandment teaches us not only to avoid envy, but to actively participate in building a world where love and compassion prevail over competition and jealousy. God's desire for us is to lead a life of inner freedom and joy. When we resist the urge to covet, we free ourselves from the burdens of comparison and resentment. This freedom invites divine blessings into our lives, as we are no longer weighed down by negative emotions. Instead, our hearts and minds become open to receiving the fullness of what God has in store for us, fostering a profound peace and sense of fulfillment. Ultimately, this commandment serves as a guide for aligning ourselves with God's plan, one that emphasizes growth, gratitude, and spiritual wholeness. In choosing contentment over covetousness, we allow God's love to transform us, opening the door to a life filled with divine grace and an abundant peace that transcends all understanding. The journey through the 10 Commandments is a transformative path toward a life enriched by peace, growth, and countless blessings. Each commandment serves as a stepping stone toward a deeper connection with God, helping us to find alignment not only with His will, but also within ourselves and the world around us. These commandments go beyond mere rules. They are invitations to explore a way of life filled with meaning, harmony, and divine purpose. The 10 Commandments offer us a blueprint for a life that mirrors the love, compassion, and justice of God. By internalizing and practicing these principles, we are not just obeying a set of ancient laws. We are actively participating in a relationship with the divine. This relationship nurtures our spirit, strengthens our moral compass, and awakens in us a desire to live with integrity and honor. Every commandment brings us closer to embodying the values that shape a life of faith and abundance. When we choose to live by these commandments, we see that they address not only our actions, but also our thoughts and attitudes. They call us to a higher standard, encouraging us to examine our hearts and intentions. In doing so, we begin to notice a shift in the way we relate to others and ourselves. We discover a life that fosters inner peace and outer harmony, where each day offers opportunities for personal growth and spiritual renewal. Applying the commandments in our lives opens us to blessings that flow from living in alignment with God's wisdom. Each commandment, when embraced fully, nurtures a distinct aspect of our character, guiding us to live responsibly and kindly. We learn to put God first, honor our relationships, and cultivate a sense of humility and gratitude. By doing so, we create a space for blessings to flow abundantly, as our actions are aligned with our higher purpose. Through this journey, we become more than just followers of faith. We become vessels of God's love and truth. Our commitment to these principles radiates outward, impacting those around us and inspiring others to seek a life of peace and purpose. By sharing these insights with friends, family, and communities, we illuminate paths for others, inviting them to experience the joy and fulfillment that comes from living in accordance with God's commandments. As we conclude this journey, it is essential to carry forward what we have learned, allowing the 10 Commandments to guide our decisions, actions, and interactions. Let us reflect on each commandment, taking time to ask ourselves how we can live these teachings more fully. Let us seek divine guidance to apply them wisely in our lives, trusting that each step we take toward embodying these principles will lead us to a deeper understanding of God's love and purpose for us. In choosing this path, we embark on a lifelong commitment to growth, transformation, and blessing. We are called not only to uphold these commandments, but to let them shape us into people of compassion, integrity, and light. Through this commitment, we become instruments of peace, growth, and blessing, standing as beacons of hope and love in a world that desperately needs them. Let us be courageous in this journey, letting our lives reflect the divine love that is the foundation of these commandments. In conclusion, this is an invitation to each reader to embrace this path wholeheartedly, to trust in the wisdom of these ancient teachings, and to see for themselves the beauty of a life aligned with God. Let us commit to being the hands and feet of God in the world, to live out the commandments in a way that inspires and uplifts others. And as we do, may we experience the profound peace, growth, and blessings that come from walking this sacred path. If you feel inspired to deepen your understanding and continue exploring these divine teachings, subscribe to our channel, Remarkable Bible Stories. By joining our community, you'll receive regular insights and stories that bring ancient wisdom to life, guiding us all on our journeys. Let's walk this sacred path together,